Hello you guys. This video is extremely hard for me. I was in the process of filming this video yesterday and it was emotionally hard for me, so I stopped production. And I was talking to my best friend last night and she was talking about how she felt the Lord was leading her to talk about something that was very difficult in her life. And I just knew that was God speaking to me. I just pray that what I'm about to say is very understanding and it comes off with clarity, because my journey was very hard. I've experienced a lot of loss, but throughout this loss, I found out the God of peace, the God of restoration, the God of comfort. So I became a born-again Christian in 2018. But before that, my life was very hard. It was hard for me to get into school, to get a job. It was just everything that I wanted to do was failing, and I just did not understand why. But for some reason, in the midst of all of that, I knew God was real. I knew that He was with me. I knew that He was taking care of me. Throughout everything that happened to me, I can see now that it was the grace of God that kept me during all of that. So in 2018, I ended up getting a job where basically everyone was hired. And then when I was working at that job, I heard a voice inside of my head say, quit. And at the time, I've never really heard the voice of God before, but I knew it wasn't me saying that. But I hated the job so much that I just continued on as if that was my thought that said it. But when I ignored that thought, things became so worse. It became worse at my job to the point where they were trying to find something to fire me. I was written up for the first time in my life. I've never been at a job where they complained about me, they had negative things to say about me. So this was the first time ever that I've had negative reviews. It was just, everything was going wrong at this job. So one day I was just fed up and I decided to quit. And at that moment I said, God, let your will be done. Again, I don't know how I knew to say that, but I said, Lord, I'm tired of my will because this is not working for me. Let your will be done. So God took me on a wilderness journey from January 2019 to March of 2020. And that was the hardest season of my life. The hardest season. I wanted to work. I didn't understand why God had me in a cave, basically, where I was just reading my Bible, watching sermons. And I knew that was a season where He wanted me to grow, where He wanted to prune things out of me and mature me, but it doesn't mean it wasn't hard. So it was a really hard journey for me. I experienced lack, but I also experienced provision in that season. It was really hard for me. It was mentally hard for me. People around me didn't understand what God was doing. They just assumed that I didn't want to work because I just didn't want to work. But it's so hard to explain your journey with God, because when God speaks to you, it wasn't a conference call. He didn't say it to other people. He said it to you. And it would be a lot easier if God said it to the people around you, but there's a reason why He does what He does. So that season was really hard for me. And then in September 16th, God led me to get a car. Now, mind you, I haven't worked since November 2018, and here we are, September 2019. God is telling me to get a car. And I did not have proof of income. I did not have a down payment. I did not have insurance. I had horrible credit, but for some reason I drove off with a new car. That was a miracle. And after I got that car, I thought God was going to shift and change my life around. I thought that God was going to give me a job and then everything would be fine. So after being in the process of finding work, I could not find a job. And I was like, God, why would you give me something and then I'm not able to pay for it? The 4 months that I had that car was extreme hell for me. I had collectors calling me, and they wasn't even calling me. They was calling my dad's phone, and I was harassed by them. I kept receiving phone calls from them, and in the meantime, like, I'm so paranoid. I'm literally looking out the window every day, seeing if they're gonna come take my car. That season was very confusing to me. I'm like, God, why would you bless me with something and then not help me pay for it? And then my phone, he didn't provide money for me to pay my phone, so my phone gets cut off. And when my phone gets cut off, God told me, I'm giving you better. So mind you, that was a very stressful season for me. I could not afford car payments, insurance payments, and I was paranoid. And plus, now I don't have a phone, so it's hard for people to contact me. And then December of 2019, I was sitting in the car and I said, God, speak to me. And I opened up my Bible and it said, Job. And my heart sank when I saw that, because I knew God was getting ready to take some things from me. And it started January. The phone that was cut off, now I lost my number. The number that I've had since I was a little girl no longer belongs to the phone. And so now I had a debt with the phone company that I could not pay. And then my cards, my CARD, my cards, I lost the accounts to my card because I wasn't making payments. That was the second loss that happened. And the biggest loss, and January 16th, oh God, January 15th, I heard God said to me, they're gonna take it today. And I was just rebuking it. I was like, this can't be God. This doesn't make any sense. No, they're not gonna take it. I'm thinking that's the devil saying that. I was asleep and then I heard a car alarm going off. And then it descended as if the car was like driving away. And God told me to check on my car. When I went outside, I opened up the window and I did not see my car. My heart sank to the floor. I could not even cry. I laid in my bed, and even though I felt peace from God, I was still angry. I did not understand why God would give me something and then take it from me. And then this is a very public thing, so everybody is gonna see. And then I'm thinking, how am I gonna explain this to my parents? One minute I have a car, then the next minute I don't have a car. That was a humiliating, and I mean humiliating experience. On the surface level, with all the loss that I went through, it seemed like God was not with me. And I started to believe that. That was a very depressing, and I mean depressing time of my life. I, for the first time, felt very suicidal. I was losing weight because I wasn't eating. I was so stressed out. I was so paranoid. It was a really hard time in my life. And just like Job, people accused me and said, well, you must have did it, you must have done something wrong. Like, it doesn't make sense for God to give you something then take it away. Oh, Job is Old Testament, that doesn't apply now. And it was such a tormenting season of my life. And again, I'm questioning God. I'm like, God, why would you allow this to happen? Why does my life look like this? Why is all of these things taking place? I honestly did not know why God hated me so much. And I know that it's a false statement, but I felt like that was true. And then March 1st, my pastor, she did a sermon and she said, raise your hand if you're going through a trial. So I raised my hand and she said, in the name of Jesus, I pray that whoever's going through a trial, that today it stops. That day, I got a new phone. I got a new number. Now, mind you, I haven't been without an active phone since November of 2019. And here we are, I think 5 months later, March 1st, with a new phone and a new number. But I was like, God, you said that you were going to give me better. This is not better. I went from an iPhone to a Samsung, and it was with the same company. And no shade to Samsung, but I love iPhone. So I was like, God, this is not better. But he was like, trust me. So after that, life started to get better. I started to see God provide for me, but still, that was the hardest time of my life. I just don't understand how. I mean, I know how I got through it. It was because of God. But the mental that I was going through, like, I mean, God gave me strength during that season, because I don't know how I'm still sitting here today, because that was one of the lowest points of my life. So fast forward to 2021, restoration began to happen. When I was in the season of loss, God kept telling me, I'm going to give you more than what you had before. I'm going to give you more than what you had before. I'm going to give you more than what you had before. And during that season, it was really hard to believe that. It really was, because of what I was looking at in the surface level. But literally, restoration came a year later. I would say over a year later. First, it started off with my phone. So back in 2019, I could not even afford a $70 phone payment. And I had an iPhone SE. And back in 2020, God told me which phone to get. And it was an iPhone 11. And he told me to write it down. And he referenced Mark 11:24. Everything that I wanted, he said, ask for it, believe it, and receive it. So back in 2020, he told me iPhone 11. But in August of 2021 was when I transitioned into my new phone. So in August of 2021, my phone started acting up. Every time I was on a call, it was very hard for me to hear. Whenever I was on my phone, a message kept popping up on my phone, and it disturbed everything that I was doing. So I knew God was transitioning me to a new phone. So I asked God, okay, like, what network do you want me to switch to? And then he showed me the network. Now, God showed me the story of Peter and the fish, and how Peter was out all night fishing and he couldn't catch anything. So Jesus saw him, and Jesus told Peter to do something. He said, toss your net to the right side of the boat. And when Peter tossed his net to the right side of the boat, that's when the miracle activated. And God showed me through that story that when you do exactly what God tells you to do, that's how you manifest and activate the blessing that God has for your life. When we do something how we want to do it, when we want to do it, it will not work, because that's not what God says. So with me activating my miracle, God told me to get this specific phone, get this specific plan, and go to this specific carrier. And I got the phone. I'm recording on it right now. That was restoration number one. And not only that, mind you, God said, I will give you more than what you had before. I have 2 lines. I have 2 phone lines. When before all the loss was happening, I only had 1 phone line. And both of my phone lines are Apple products. It is an iPhone and an iPad. And for God to restore and give me more than what I had before, my goodness. And with my credit, before the incident, my credit wasn't looking too good. But my credit is better now than what it was before the repossession. It was better now than what it was before the repossession. Remember, God said, I will give you more than what you had before. My credit is better now than what it was before the repossession. And I have been approved for installment plans and different things like it. Let me tell y'all, if God says something is for you, it is for you. Nobody can take that from you. It is for you, okay? So back in 2020, I told you guys that I had a lot of card accounts that closed. I have more bank accounts now than what I had before, and these are really good bank accounts that I am banking with now. And again, God said, I will give you more than what you had before and better than what you had before. So my phone has been restored. God promised me that I would give you the best carrier. Honestly, y'all, I'm so happy with my carrier. My carrier comes with so many benefits. I love the fact that this company gives back to their customers. So if I give little hints, you guys will probably know what carrier I'm talking about. But I love how they always do like free subscriptions, and every month they have a reward program where you could get like a gift card, or you'll get something for free every month. And so I love the carrier that I'm with, and the service is exceptional. What else was restored? And also, ever since that loss have taken place in my life, I felt like the spirit of poverty was broken off of me. When I tell you, God has been showing me the finer things in life, He has been opening up my eyes to a brighter spectrum, things that I haven't noticed before. And if you have been through loss, you understand how it and what it means to value something. So with me, because I have been through a season of back-to-back losses, now I value money, now I value possessions, and now it's like I want the finer things in life. And not saying that, oh, I would never shop at Walmart again, or I'll never do these things again, but it's saying God showed me after the loss experience, that daughter, I want you to have a life of abundance. I want you to have a life where you can afford nice things. I want you to have a life of abundance where you have more than enough. And I released a prophetic word last year about abundance. And I showed different products that I had and how it was a lot of products. It was more than what I needed. And when I tell you guys, that word has come to pass in my life, and it is continuing to come to pass. I remember I was at a store and I brought a lot of expensive products. I mean expensive. And I still had a lot of money left over. And I text my friend, I was like, girl, I love this feeling. I love this feeling of going to the store and buying anything that I want, anything, and still have a lot of money left over. I did not come from that background. I came from a background where my parents, they did the best they could, but there was still lack. And I heard a lot of, we can't afford this, we can't do this, that's too much money. I heard a lot of that growing up, and also seeing phone getting cut off, lights getting cut off, a lack of food in the refrigerator. I grew up witnessing those things. So for God to expose me to a world where it is luxury, it is abundance, it's like, whew. He exposed me to that because of the trial that I've been through. And let me tell you, it is beautiful. It is beautiful to be in abundance, to be on the side of prosperity and blessings and just more than enough. Trying to think what else. The car is the last thing that is being restored, and I cannot wait to share that story of restoration, how God does it, how I feel. I feel like I would even have tears to cry, because I would just be so happy. You guys, I would be so happy. But my season of loss taught me that God is a God of peace. God is with you. God has a divine plan that we don't understand. And we just had to lean on God. When I tell you, I had a huge support system around me, people who loved on me, who cared for me, who showed me to keep trusting God. I had people around me who had been through something similar, and then God brought them out of it, and that gave me hope that God was going to bring me out of my situation. But let me tell y'all, that was not an easy season at all. It was a very hard season for me. But if you're going through it, honey, you will get through that season. Because at the end of Job's story, he lived on to live a good life. And he lived to be a very old age, very, very old age. He had more than what he had before. His respect was restored. Job's life was beautiful at the end of the book. I believe it's chapter 42. So if you're experiencing a Job-like season where you're going through loss back to back to back to back to back, just trust God. Trust what he said to you personally, and listen for his instructions. Remember the story of Peter in the boat, of how God allowed Peter to witness his power by doing exactly what Jesus told Peter to do. And when Peter did exactly what Jesus told him to do, that activated the promise, that activated the blessing. And I want to encourage you guys, write down Mark 11:24. Write down everything that your heart desires. Ask God for it, believe God for it, and then receive it. But whatever God promised you, write that down. Write it down, so when you need encouragement, go back to what he said. Go back to all the previous things he has done for you, all the answered prayers, all of the promises that have manifested. Go back and look back at those things. But remember, God is with you. God loves you. There's a reason why you're looking at this video, because he is going to restore everything that was taken from you, that the enemy has taken from you, and he has to give you 1,000-fold. He has to restore what was taken from you. And also, one last thing, I completely forgot. Thank you, Holy Spirit. My ID, because of the repossession that happened to my car, it messed up my ID. So my ID was invalid. It was invalid for over a year. Baby, when I tell you, when I was driving, I was paranoid driving, because I knew I was driving with a suspended license. And I was like, Lord, you're gonna have to show up, because that was scary for me. But again, look back at the story of Peter, how Jesus told Peter to do something specific, and that manifested a blessing. God gave me a vision of the driver's license place to go to. And then that week, I went to the driver's license place. I stood in line for 5 hours. The last hour, it was in the rain. But when she told me that my license is now valid, it is now cleared, honey, I didn't even know what to say. I was so shocked. I mean, the first time I drove with a valid license, I was like, God, you are so good. You restored this thing for me. Now, mind you, I got sick after, all the rain and stuff got into me, but it was worth it. It was worth standing in that line for 5 hours to get that promise restored to me, because God said, I'm giving you better. Not only was my license valid again, but I was able to renew my license. So I was able to take a new ID picture, and my license had been renewed. So he gave me the new, and it was better than the old. So again, trust God, yo. So my restorations, my credit is better now than what it was before the repossession. I have 2 phone lines now, when before the loss I only had 1 phone line. My ID has been restored. My bank accounts, I have more bank accounts than what I had before, and these are really good bank accounts. Final thing is my car. And I cannot wait to come on here and give you guys a testimony of how God does that, because honey, I can't wait. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this video encourages you, because God is a restorer. He will restore what was taken from you. So thank you guys. Love you, and I will talk to you later. And also, if you have any questions, I'm going to leave my email down below. It is elegantand7@gmail.com. If you have any prayer requests, any comments, any questions, any concerns that you have, like, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. This is literally what I do for a living. I do ministry for a living, and this is what God has called me to do. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. And again, thank you guys for supporting me, for being with me, and I love you guys so much. Thank you. Bye.